Alright, today we're going to go over lessons 21 through 25 in the book. Can I get everybody's screen? Yeah, we'll do 21 through 25. A lot of this we're going to basically breeze through because we've already covered some of it, or we kind of already went over some of it. And some of this stuff is not something you're going to use a whole lot. So I'm not going to go through a lot of the options that some of these commands is going to give us. I'll leave that up to you to read. But I will touch on a few things. Alright, the first thing is on 21-2, match properties. I think we've already done this, or I've already kind of went over it once. Let me get a couple of layers in here. Alright, let's say you have some layers out there and they're not on the correct layer, but you already have some lines that are on the layer that you want. You can use match properties, which is on the home tab. The clipboard over here, the panel, you can see right there it has like a little, I guess that's like a computer screen with a paintbrush. If you click on it, and you see at the bottom it says select your source object. Let's say I want these three lines right here to look like this one. I'm going to select this as my source object, and then it says select all the lines you want to change. I select them and you see what it does. Okay? So that's match properties. I think I showed you that before, I'm not sure. That's kind of a quicker way if you have a bunch of different lines you're trying to change and there's a lot of stuff going on in the drawing. It's a lot easier to me to match properties than to try to zoom in, pick everything, and go try to pick the correct layer and all that. So it's just a quicker way to kind of change your layers. Let's go to 21-4 in your book. We call it the Rev cloud. It's also known as the revision cloud. This is something that, as a draftsman working in the industry, you will have to use. Revision cloud is for once a drawing has been put out for bid. Okay, supposedly it's 100% complete. You know, your company signed off on it, you sent it out. You know, contractors are getting it, they put bids on it, how much they're going to charge to build this certain portion of it, blah, blah, blah. And then like an owner or an architect or even the engineer comes back and either finds a mistake or sees something they want to change. It has to go back to the engineering firm that put it out. And what they do is they get their draftsmen to go in, make the changes on the drawing, and then they take and put a revision cloud around everything that they changed. Okay? And then they send the plans back out, or they send just those certain sheets back out that they made the changes to. And when the contractor looks at it and he sees a big revision cloud around it, it's easy to spot what was changed and what was left alone. Okay? So that's kind of what the revision cloud is for. It's on the Home tab, Draw panel. You can see right there, it looks like a cloud up in the sky. If you click on it, it asks you, specify your starting point. Once you specify a point, your starting point, all you do is move your mouse, and you'll see that in a second. You don't have to do any more clicking, you just move your mouse, and what you try to do is click on a point. You're going to move your mouse around and come back to your original starting point, and it ends the command, and I'll show you. So let's say I want to go around this whole thing right here. So I'm going to click somewhere right here, and you see I move my mouse, and as I'm moving it, I come back to my starting point and it ends the command. Okay? Now you can change the size of each arc. And to do that, if I click back on the revision cloud, you see one of the options down here is arc length. So I'm going to hit A for arc length. And you see you can specify. It says 0.5 right now. Let's say I want to make it 1. The maximum length 1. And then I start doing my rev cloud again. And you can see the difference between 1 and 0.5. Okay? So, there's no true science behind it. There's no exact distance you make it. It's really, you play with it until it looks good on your drawing. It's basically what we do. Okay? Depending on how small the object is, depends on really, we'll adjust the arc length so it doesn't overpower the object. Now there's some more options to that. I'll let you go through and read it. You can do like a calligraphy cloud, to where instead of looking just like straight lines like that, it looks more like a calligraphy where they throw in shadows and stuff on the line. I'll let you read through that. You can reverse the direction. If you look on 21-5, you can actually reverse the direction of the cloud. And let me ask y'all something. You see the image on 21-5 where it says reverse direction and has yes? What does that image look like? To me, it looks like we're looking at a wall, or even let's say a sheet of paper, and I just stuck a pencil or something through it. It looks like there's a hole going away from you. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. Believe it or not, and you can go look it up on the web, on Google, a contractor saw the revision cloud on a drawing and cut a hole in the concrete floor of the construction or the building they were doing to match the revision cloud.
Did he keep his contractor's license?
I have no idea. But you can go online and you can Google revision cloud hole in the floor, and it will show you where the guy literally went and cut a hole in the floor to look like a revision cloud. So know when you see a revision cloud on a drawing what it means. Okay, it means there's something being changed. Page 21-6 shows you the difference between the normal and what the calligraphy option looks like. Like I said, I'll let you go in and play around with that. Alright. Then there's a command on 21-7 called wipeout. Now we don't have to use this as much anymore because of the option we have in the text called background fill now, that background mask or whatever. It does a lot more what we used to use the wipeout for. We used to put the wipeout around our text, and if our text was sitting on top of other objects, what it would do is just hide the lines behind it. So your text was shown, and it looked like everything was trimmed out around your text. So that's kind of what we used to use it for before. Now, believe it or not, AutoCAD's such a big program, it still has some bugs in it. Okay? Hatch is where a lot of times we got to use the wipeout now. Because, don't ask me why, it's just when you have a bunch of stuff on the drawing now. And y'all will know more about this by the end of the next 9 weeks in the intermediate when we start dealing a lot more with blocks. When you start getting a lot of blocks and stuff on the drawing and you try to hatch, a lot of times the hatch doesn't want to read the block for some reason, so it hatches right over your block. So we'll have to use sometimes the wipeout to put on our block to get the hatch out of it, okay? And I'm going to show you right here something I'm talking about. Let's just say these 3 lines in here was a block that we had, okay? The hatch went over it, it didn't recognize it. You can use the wipeout command, which is Home tab, Draw panel, it's right beside the revision file. If you click on there, it tells you specify your first point, and you can do this just like you're drawing a regular line. Watch. What I'm going to do is just cover, I'm going to kind of follow along this line right here. There's my first point, there's my second point. Notice there's a, let me change it later. So I'm going to click my first point, my second. Notice that the box kind of follows your cursor every time you click a point. That's my third, let's say that's my fourth. Once you're done, you right click to continue and hit enter. You see what it did. Everything behind that box I just created goes away. Now does it delete it? No. Because if I move this, you see it's still there. Now, what if, well, now here's a problem with the wipeout. Where's my line that was on there? It's gone, was hid. So when you go to print, what it's going to print is the wipeout, and it's not going to print the line weight of your object. So what you have to do is what I always do is click on the box and click on the hatch too. You want to click on both of them. And what you want to do, because right now the wipeout is on top of the hatch, but the wipeout is on top of our object too. So what I'm going to do is come over here to Home tab, Draw panel, click where it says, Home tab, Modify panel, click where it says Modify. There's something right here, and it's called your Draw Order. Okay, it's called the Draw Order. You see, I click on the little arrow beside it, it says bring the front, send the back, blah, 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 blah. This allows you to manipulate the order. You remember how I told you when it comes to layers and stuff, it's like a transparency stacked on top of each other? Well, the objects are the same way. When you got lines stacked on each other, it's like a transparency. They're still there, they're just stacked on top of each other. So I want to get the one I want up front. So what I'm going to say is send the wipeout in the hatch to the back. Now you notice my red lines came back up. Now they're on top. But when I hit send the back, because I picked the wipeout and the box, or in the hatch, it sent them both of them to the back. Okay? So that the wipeout is still on top of the hatch, but now your object lines are on top of your wipeout. But there's still one problem. Can you recognize what it is? What's still there that we can still see? The wipeout. You still see this part of the wipeout. So there is a way to turn that off. To do that, now if you keyboard people, you want to do this through the keyboard, to get to wipe out, you actually got to spell the whole word out. Wipe out. Okay? You see one of the command or options down there is frames. Okay, frames. So if I hit F for frames, it says on or off. If I hit O for off, oops, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to type off in. I typed off in and hit enter. Look what happened. The wipeout went away. But it's still serving its purpose and basically covering the hatch. Okay? I mean, it's still there. You just turn the frame off so you can't see it. When you want to turn it back on, just type wipeout in again, F for frames, and type in on. And there it is. Now, I want to show you something because nobody questioned me on it a minute ago. A minute ago, I moved that wipeout and then moved it back in, and it did not show the hatch gone. I don't know how I can get it to work now either. I'm not going to get it to work. Just remember this. When you put your wipeout in there, let's see if I can. There's a command. If you put something on top there and it doesn't look like it's working right, type in REA spacebar. REA spacebar stands for regenerate all, which means it kind of like refreshes the drawing so that it comes up to look like it's supposed to. Alright, that's all of 21. Let's talk about lesson 22. Lesson 22 is talking about how to create arcs. I'm only going to show you how to do 2 or 3. There's a bunch of them. If you want to learn how to do all of them, I suggest you go through the end of lesson 22. And there's an exercise for every one of them that shows you exactly how to create that arc you want to create. But I'm not going to go through all of them. Okay? If you go to the Home tab, the Draw panel, Arc. Now, you click on the down arrow. You see there's a bunch of different options. The couple that I use the most: 3-point, start in direction, start in radius. Okay? That's the 3 I use the most. And really the one I use the most is start in direction. You will see come next 9 weeks when we start in intermediate CAD, you'll have to use that start in direction to draw the door symbols for house plans. Okay? And I'll show you real quick how to do that. Okay, if I was going to draw a door that's 3 feet long Okay, so my door right here is 3 feet, my opening is 3 feet. Alright, now a lot of times what I do, I don't show mine all the way open like that. I like to show mine partially open. It just gives me more room to do things on the house plan. That's just my preference. But you got to show a door swing. So if I'm going to do that, I use the start in direction. All you do is click on the end of the door, or where the door should close. Click on the end of the door. Turn your ortho on. So your ortho needs to be on for this to work. I just go straight up. I click on the screen and look what it looks like. Looks like a door is partially open, doesn't it? Okay. So that's kind of what I use my arcs the most for, is to be able to complete things like that right there. 3-point arc, real simple. All you have to do is click 3 different points and it creates the arc for you. Okay, it figures out what the radius has to be and all that to fit those 3 points. Very simple. And then, same thing for start in radius. You click 2 points, you tell it what radius you want. Tell it what radius you want. You can see it put in like a 3-inch radius. Okay? The reason it kept saying it was invalid because when you do that, you have to be the exact radius it's supposed to be. Or the exact radius of the gap. Alright, let's go over to 23. 23-2. When I start in 23, I'm basically going to go through 23 and 24 at the same time. 23 is going over polylines. 24 is talking about how do you edit polylines. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through both of them at the same time. You just probably need to read it, and if you want to see all the options. Polyline is the same way. Polyline has a ton of options. What a polyline is, okay, when we draw a line, let's say we draw a square with the line command. Is it all one piece or 4 different pieces? It's 4 different pieces. If you draw the same square, which works the same way as the line command, as far as how do you do it, if you draw the same square with a polyline, it's going to be 1 piece, like a rectangle basically. Okay, and I'll show you the difference. I'm going to draw a square with the line command. And you can see it is all 4 individual pieces. But do the same thing with a polyline. In a polyline, tight. There we go. Polyline for the keyboard is PL, okay? Or if you want to click the icon in its home tab, polyline. Draw panel, polyline. Now we do the same thing. Now you see the difference, okay? So it doesn't matter what kind of shape you're creating. Zigzag, some kind of polygon looking shape, whatever. It'll all be one piece as long as you don't end the command. Now, what if I would have accidentally escaped before I could finish it? You see it's only 3 pieces. Now what if I came in and used the polyline again? Do you think it's going to be all one piece? No. Even though I used the polyline again, now it's reading this as one polyline and this as another polyline. But with polyline edit or poly edit, you can make that all into one piece if you want it. And I'll show you.
Is that 24?
Huh?
Is that 24 the edit?
Yeah, 24 is going to be the edit. If you want to, click the icon, it's Home tab, Modify panel, click where it says Modify. And you can see right here, it's a pencil drawing a line, Edit Polyline, you click on it, or keyboard people, it's PE spacebar. PE spacebar. Now, it says at the bottom, select your polyline. I'm going to select this as my polyline. You see it has close, join, width, edit, vertex, fit, spline, decurve, all kind of stuff. What I'm going to click on is join, where I'm going to type in the capital letter, which is J. So I'm going to hit J spacebar. It says select the objects you all want to join. I'll select them all. I right click to continue. That's all I want to do, so I'm going to hit escape now, and then look. It's all one object. Now the great thing is, remember this, 4 separate lines. Even though this is not a polyline at all these are created by a line, we can make them a polyline. Watch. PE for poly edit. Select one of them. What does it ask me? Do you want to turn this into a polyline? I'm going to hit Y for yes. Now I'm going to hit J for join. Select them all. Right click to continue, escape, and look. Even though those were just lines, now they are a polyline. You can trim these by selecting the trim command, selecting the object, right clicking to continue, and what? You can trim a piece of it out, and it still stays as a polyline. Another trick I wanted to show you, if you accidentally exited out before you could finish it out, you can come in here and do P-edit or PE for poly edit, select it. One of your options down here is close. So if I hit C for close, you see what it does. It closes out the box for you. I'm not going to go through all the options of the polyline. All right, and the last thing I want to show you is in lesson 25. Have I showed you all the divide command? All right. In 25-7. 25-7 is the divide command. What it allows you to do is if you needed to and you had to take a line and created 8 equal spaces on that line, you can use the divide command. For instance, let's take this line right here. To break an angle line is going to be pretty difficult, right? In the equal spaces. It would be pretty difficult. So, the first thing you have to do is come to the Home tab, Utilities, and click where you see Point Stop. Okay, you got to click where you see Point Stop. It's going to pop this up. Why it's important to go to here first is that you make sure you have a point that will be easily recognizable once you divide the line. For instance, if I divide this line with a dot, am I going to be able to see that? No. But if I do something like the X or one of these boxes, which I always just use the X here, so I'm going to select the X, hit OK. Now if you go to keyboard people, divide is D-I-V. D-I-V. And honestly, I do not, let's see. I don't remember what the icon is, honestly. Because I always type it in. There it is. Home tab, draw panel, and it almost looks like a dimension with an N. It's got the letter N underneath. So if you click that, select the line you want to divide, it asks you how many segments. Let's say 8, just to say a number. You see what it does? It puts an X everywhere where you should be putting your line. So, for example, if I had a line that looked like this that needed to go equally all the way up that thing, now, the only way you can select this point that it just put on there and the X is the point is you have to have your node, N-O-D-E, your node OSNAP turned on. Okay, your node, N-O-D-E, and you can come down here and check that by going to your OSNAP at the bottom, right click, settings, you can see my node is turned on. Now watch, when I get close to it, you see where it snaps to that point? That lets me know that I'm right on there. Now I'm going to copy this line from all the node points. Look at there. Now that's 8 equal spaces. Alright? That's 8 equal spaces. And then once you're done, you just come in here and erase the points. I use that quite a bit. And if you really want me to blow your mind, that's how I center objects. Okay? Believe it or not, I use that command right there to center objects. And I don't think you want me to go through how I do it because it blows your mind over. Until you get used to working, doing all this stuff, it's probably a little bit more difficult. Alright, that's all 21 through 25. Real quick, it was easy. I wanted to get through that because, believe it or not, Next week is it. Okay, believe it or not, next week is it. So what I want to do is blow through that today because I want you to draw 2 orthographic multi-view drawings. Okay? Now, I give you what all 3 views has to look like. Exactly to the point, exactly what they should look like. But I'm going to have to go over a couple of things that we haven't made it to yet in fundamentals. Usually, when I teach a principles class all semester, basically what you learn in fundamentals, we turn around and apply in principles. But since principles is only 9 weeks, we're ahead. Okay. So I'm going to show over real quick how to set up multi-view drawings. And what you're going to have to use is called a miter line to create them. You get all the dimensions. But this is what you're going to have to learn real quick. When you draw in a multi-view drawing, you can't finish one view before you start the other. You actually have to be creating all 3 views at the exact same time. Okay? Because basically what happens, if they give you a measurement on the top view, you create that line, and then that line transfers over to create another line on another view. And we're going to go into that real quick. Let me show you real quick online which one we're going to do. And I'm actually going to step through one of them for you. We're going to do it line by line and create it, okay? But these drawings I love to use and make you do because they really make you use a lot of your different icons, okay? They're a little bit more complex. Then let me tell you, okay, I'm going to give you 2 of these. One of them I'm going to step through totally with you. The other one you'll just have to kind of figure it out. And these will both be due next week. Now, next Monday, or this Wednesday course, we have a test. It's already on D2L. You should have already seen it. I will decide by Wednesday if you're going to have another test Monday. Because we're going to be a lesson behind. That's the way it's looking like it's going to turn out to be. So, next week we'll cover 12 through 15. I'm going to give you 1 drawing next week that you'll have to turn in when you come in and take your final next week. And that'll just be to help you get ready for the final. Okay? So that's kind of what we'll do next week. You'll turn these 2 in that I give you today. We'll go over 12 through 15 next week. I'll give you another one. Because here's the problem. Next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I will not be here. I will be in Jackson. Okay? We have a couple students competing up there in what they call Skills USA competition. And we always let 2 of our graduating seniors go compete, or 1 or 2, depending on who we have. So I will be up there for that. So we're going to have to I'll let y'all know Wednesday exactly how we're going to set this up. So which means most of y'all, instead of coming on Wednesday, you got to let your company know that you're going to have to be here probably Friday. Okay, same time, 9 to 12, just like we would come on Wednesday. So Friday will probably be when we take our final next week. Well, most likely it is going to be because that'll be the only time I can do it. Alright. This is something you're going to have to do. Now, don't freak out. The isometric in the top right corner, you do not have to draw that. You see see this big old note? ISO is for visual aid only, do not draw it. But what I'm trying to show you is, this is the object, or these three images is this object right here. Okay? So I'm going to step through, you know what? I think y'all could probably handle this one. This one looks a little easier. I think y'all can handle this one. Let me show you the other one, because I think that's the one y'all will struggle with. How about let's walk through this one? Okay? This one is very, very testing. You have to do, what you're going to learn, real quick, is you have to study a drawing before you jump in and just start doing it. Okay? For example, let's look at this drawing. What on this drawing, which view on this drawing is really going to determine a lot of the heights, I guess you'd say? Huh? Lower left? It's going to be the lower right, most likely. Okay, why? Because notice that that entire face of that object is at an angle. Which means all the heights are going to be determined by where it comes up and hits the angle, correct? So you can see, just by looking at this, hey, I know for a fact a lot of those heights on that front view. Okay, now let me tell you what views these are. The top left view is considered a top view. The bottom left view is called the front view. The bottom right view is called the right side view. So literally, that very top one is like taking this image like I got right here and looking at it from the top. So y'all would be looking at it like that. Okay? The front view would be like that. And then of course the side view, depending on which one you consider the right side, you would turn like. So what these views are rotating an image in your mind and putting them on paper. In fundamentals, you're going to have to learn how to take two of these and create a third one. Okay? But this kind of gives you a head start because you know how to start laying them out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start working this out. Okay? Let's see if I can minimize this. Minimize this. See if we can do it like this. Okay. Let's say, let's start this out. I know I need 3 boxes, right? So let's go ahead and start this out. Let's see, I know I have a box that is 3.78 inches long, and the height is 2. So let's see, I need 3.78, 2, 3.78, close. I know my top view is directly in line with my front, so I'm just going to copy 3 of the lines up. Well, I'm only going to copy 3 of the lines up. Notice what the depth is at the top. 2.24. This right here, this distance right here, is the same as this distance right here. Okay? And I'm going to show you how you can figure that out in a little bit. So I'm going to copy this line right here up, 2.24. I'm going to fill it. Make sure my radius down here says 0, multiple. And there you go. I'm going to copy 3 lines over to here. And I'm going to copy this line over how far? 2.24. As I said, this distance is the same as that distance. Trim this out. And there you go. Okay, that's your 3 starting boxes. Alright. We said some of the things are going to, a lot of it's going to come off of here, right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is start drawing this one. I have enough information that tells me if I come over 0.5 and then go down 45 degrees, wherever it hits this line right here is where it ends. Okay, so I can do that. I'm going to copy this line right here over 0.5. And then I'm going to draw a line down at, I'm just going to throw a distance out because I really don't know exactly how long that face is. So I'm going to say at 5, less than. Now somebody tell me what angle am I supposed to put in? Somebody said 225. Because the 45 degrees is coming off the 180 to get to there. So you got to say 180 plus 45. So 225. Now look. I said wherever these two hit has to be the line. So there you go. So you have that piece, and that piece already. Okay? If you want, we can go ahead and throw this circle in there. We have all the information to do that. So I can copy this line over 0.76. Copy this line up 0.62. It's a diameter circle. I'm going to show you how to put that in there too. Diameter circle, so I can come up here. Diameter 0.625. Okay? Alright, well, we got a lot already. Now, can we get this line, or this line in there right now? No, we don't have any information to get that from here. So I can go, that's as far as I can go. Now, what this tells me is where my circle is going to end up, and it tells me where the height of this is going to end up. Why? Because it has to project straight across. Thing you'll learn real quick is the front view, right side view, both share what? What are we getting from the right side and the front side? Just by looking at those images. Height. Are we not? This tells me how tall that little piece is, right? So if I project it straight across, it has to line up. It has to be the same exact height. Alright. So I'm going to continue off this piece. I'm going to come in and work over here real quick, because I have all this information. I can copy this over 1. copy this line over 1.14, and then copy this line over 1. All right, now what does that give us? That tells us this piece I just copied over, that gives us where that's going to be and where that's going to be, right? So I can go ahead and trim that up. All right, I got those two pieces in there. There's something else that I know, I was hoping somebody would catch. What's this tell me? It tells me the depth of that circle. It tells me it goes in 1.25 deep. So I can actually copy this in 1.25, and now I can trim that. Now, what I'm going to do real quick, because this is how I keep from confusing myself, let's throw, say again. We'll go ahead and put this on the hidden layer. Just so I don't get confused, okay? So I don't start losing myself with all the different lines. All right. So I got all this in there. I got this piece in there. Now I do have some more information I can go ahead and put in here. But do I have enough just right here to be able to do this? No, because this tells me 45 degrees, that's fine. But how do I know where to start the 45 degrees? So look, I come up, straight up, look. There's a dimension right there that tells me. It says if you come over 0.74, that gets us to here, and then draw your 45 degree line. So that's what I'm going to do. Copy this over 0.74, which is there. And I'm going to draw me a line at, I'm going to throw a distance in, less than, what angle? You can do negative 45. If it's coming off to 0, you can do negative. Okay? If it's coming off and going down. So I'm going to do negative 45. Now I can trim all this up. Alright? So there's that corner. I can do the same thing to figure this one out, because it tells me to figure this corner, come up, there it is, 1.12 from here. So we'll draw me a line up, copy it over 1.12. Now there's another piece of information right here we need to do. It says you got to copy down 0.74 to get to there. I'm copying down 0.74. Now I'm going to draw this line at, go at a distance, 5, less than, what angle for that 30 degrees? Huh? 210. 180 plus 30. Now where these meet, you connect. And there's that part. Alright, so is that all I can do over here? Yes, I don't have any more information. So what I have to do now is step up here. Now the great thing about multi-views, when you keep them in line like I did, where everything is exactly in line, you can just project. What I mean by that, if you come straight up, what do I run into? That line right there. If I come straight up from this corner, what do I run into? That line right there. Same thing with this. Every change of direction should show a line somewhere else. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to project up. Alright, and then I'm going to try to start working this out right here. Okay, we're going to work this first and say, okay, 0.76. Says this in 0.76, so I'm going to copy this up. 0.76. It says that needs to be missing. So what does this go to? Well, let's follow it down to C. It's supposed to be that right there. So if I actually draw a line up here, I can trim all this out. Alright, so that's that piece right there. Now I can get this piece, copy it in 0.54. Where does this go? Let's see. Should be this line and this line, which is here and here. So I can go ahead trim all this out. Alright, it gives you those pieces. Now I'll kind of start working this up here a little bit. Let's see. Anybody tell me how I can figure this out? This piece right here is that right there. Now how can I get that over there? I'll show you. If you draw a line straight over from the very bottom of your top view here, you draw a line straight up from the left side of your right view. Where those two connect, you're going to create what we call a miter line, which is just a 45-degree line. It doesn't have to be a certain distance. Just say, start your line from the cross section, add 5 less than 45. And then you can come in and erase these two. The reason I leave that there is because watch. If I draw a line straight up from these points, wherever it hits here, I transfer it straight over. And look what that gives me. That piece right there is that piece right there. Alright? I need to make sure I use the right lines. Yes. Now, let me show you a little thing about projection. We got a couple of key pieces of information. We got this angle right here, which created a change of lines. So if I draw a line straight over, what does that give me? They're right there. So I can trim this. So I have that line. I can get these two lines, let's see. Can't get these two yet. But what I'll use is, we know that piece of information. We know that this is at a 45-degree angle. Is it hot in here, y'all? No? Oh, it burns up. All right, now what angle is this right here? But what angle would this surface be at? 45. That angle right there is basically going up right here. Now, if you look, we know this piece right here has to be that piece right there, correct? Just by looking at your line. So what I can do, oh, what is it? What do you notice? This surface right here is in direct line with this point right here, which is that right there, correct? What does that tell me? If I draw this line straight up, straight over, what does that give me? That has to be that length right there, doesn't it? Because if that right there is that right there, that distance right there has to be the same as that distance right there. Got confused yet? Okay. Here we go with it. So if I trim all this up, guess what else it gives me? That line right there, because all I have to do, connect dots. Alright? Now how do I get this piece, this line right here? Huh? If you come in, well, alright, let me ask you this. This line right here, where is it at over here? It's actually from here to there. How do I know that? This piece right here is what? All of that, right? Where is all that located? Right there. So all I'm going to do is project. I got this line already there. Connect dots. Watch something else I can do, okay? That has to be the edge of my circle, doesn't it? If I project the edges of my circles up, now you can trim all that up. Alright? Oh, I think we're done. Are we? We still got to get these heights in there, don't we? This one, and these two. All that is these. I just draw a line over, trim them up, Now what that gives me, is that right there. Now we're still missing one thing. And what could that be? Huh? Your center line. Now this is something y'all will hear again in fundamentals, but I'll go ahead and tell y'all now. The way I do these center lines right here, draw it from the middle of that line to here. Okay? Click on it, grab the grip, and you're going to go over 3/16 to 5/16. So you can be anywhere in between there. 3/16 all the way to 5/16 is the number you can type in. Now, whatever you type in on one side, you need to type in on the other too. So for example, if I'm going to use 5/16, I come over, I hit 5/16, or if you know the decimal number, just type in a decimal number. Hit enter, grab this grip, move it over, 5/16, hit enter, and there you go. Then all you have to do is copy this one up there. Now, of course, you're going to have to create a center line layer, put that on the center line layer, and so forth. But that is how you will create this drawing. Now, you have to put everything on the correct layer. This thing has hidden lines and center lines, which means what? You're going to type in LTS, hit enter, and type in 0.5, enter. If you don't do that, it's not going to come out looking right. You're going to have to center this. And you're going to have to do it by using that formula sheet that is out on the D2L site. You're going to have to dimension this. So what I suggest is if you don't think you can draw that just by looking at it after we've done this, you might want to open the recording I have going, minimize it like I have it here, and follow along exactly how I'm doing. You saw all I did basically is draw lines, copy, and trim, didn't I? That's basically all I did. Line, copy, and trim, and I did that whole drawing. And I did a circle. Now, when you go to do this dimension, I guess you'd say, to get that depth symbol in there, I'll show you real quick. Okay, you're going to get something like that there. All you do is double click on it. And enter. Uh-oh. Hit the right arrow on your keyboard, hit enter, and then what you're going to do is come up here to symbols, click on symbol, you're going to come down here and click on other. It's going to pop this chart up. You're going to find font GDT, which is up there already. There's your arrow. You're going to click on it. You're going to hit select, copy, and then you're going to come in here, right click, and hit paste. And then you'll type in 1.25. Now, this is where most people aren't careful Are those two font styles different? Yes, so you need to change this one to match this one. Now you can't change this. If you change this font style right here, it's going to change the whole symbol altogether. But you can select this and come up here and put it on your correct style. You should have one called dim. So if you put it on the dim, it'll look like that one right there. Alright? So you're going to have this one. And the safety key to do. Let me hide them here. Alright, I want y'all to draw these two because what it's going to make you do is you're doing a lot more drawing into one, okay? It's giving you a lot of practice in copy and trim, line work, drawing lines at angles, all that kind of stuff. Okay, because this is basically going to help prepare you for next week's final exam. Because it's making you use your commands over and over and over again for you to get used to it. We're going to go over something next week or next Monday that will also be on your exam, but I'm leaving that till next Monday because then it'll be fresh in your brain for the exam. So work on these two, the safety key and the tool holder that are online. And they'll be both of them will be due next Monday by the end of class. Okay? So that doesn't mean you got to have it as soon as you walk in the door. If you need to work on it, because I'm going to go over 12 through 15 next week. It's going to be kind of like the same as it was today, where, you know, pretty quick lecture. And there's only really a couple of big things we need to touch on next Monday. And then I'll give you one little simple drawing to do, just to give you something to practice up until the final exam. Alright? So any questions?
The only question is that we have a test Wednesday on 16, 17, 18, and 19.
Test Wednesday on 16, 17, 18, and 19. The adjusting arm is due today.
Print it out.
Yep, print it out. And any drawing that was due up to this point, make sure I have a printout before you leave today. Because tomorrow, I will be grading a lot of those drawings. I got one done today, and I'm going to hopefully have the rest of them done tomorrow. Or at least a few of them done tomorrow. So, recap. Test this Wednesday on 16, 17, 18, 19. And then these two drawings that I just gave, the tool holder and the safety key, will be due next Monday before you leave. Alright? Alright, you're free to go. Or free to do whatever.